like and subscribe. How do you deal with knowing you're the least favorite person in your friend group? If everyone is nice to you, but maybe you're a little too used to getting the "oh we went out without you, because we did not think you'd wanna come" text. I just make a habit of doing my own thing, and not relying on my happiness being related to the people I know / hang out with. Sometimes it is just easier to keep yourself happy ds. I do this as well, but I also practice distancing myself from people who constantly feel like there is one reason or another to not invite me. True friends to me should know that, even if you commonly pass on an invite, just being invited is still nice. I'm a bit of a homebody and use to get those sayings to me all the time, and I finally just let go of those friends. Now I have ones who think of me for things, but aren't offended or upset if I turn it down. And they also don't stop inviting me to things, even if it's more common for me to not attend over showing up. Such a good mindset to have. I just make a habit of doing my own thing, and not relying on my happiness being related to the people I know / hang out with. The earlier you learn this truth in life, the better it is. Got dumped by a few friends the very first time, when I was 17. Felt bad, really bad. And then second time I was left behind. For some reason my dad asked me this: why do you feel bad on others' actions? If there is ever a reason to feel bad, it's because of your own actions or your own doing. And he asked me this question, without the context of this situation. Such a simple question, with some wise insight, but with a very difficult answer. An answer which would mean, in some form or another, I care. Whereas the correct answer is I care to be accepted by them, involved by them. You don't care about them. Sometimes even the people who are part of the group do not care about the group at all. There are many correct answers, but the one that worked for me is, I care for them, but not enough to wait for their acceptance or approval, and then I went and did most of my stuff on my own. Believe me, it's liberating. And then in college, and really good friends following my dad's advice. Make few friends, but quality ones. The ones that stand by you for support, but also the ones that can tell you that you are wrong, and help you correct it. Agree. Underrated comment. Leave the group. You deserve better than that. Up. They'll either appreciate you or they won't. Learned this the hard way. Sending extra love to you, Opus. Exactly. That text Op mentioned is something I received on my birthday week, where they had a party without me, and I cut them off. It was just a very vile person influencing the others, because I saw right through her bull. And she wanted me out for that. Best decision ever for me. I moved out the city, and made a whole life for myself, while most of them are stuck there. Yeah. Friendship is a two-way street. Either you make effort or you don't. That is what I did when I was in a similar situation, and I definitely don't regret it. I literally dodged a whole bullet. How would I deal with it? By leaving that group vertical bar. Never ever let people making you feel small. Don't let it get there ever again. Leave it the smallest hint of disrespect they show. Get better friends. Some groups you just don't click with. I have found that the groups where I was the least favorite were not groups I was necessarily happy with or close to either. I maybe wanted to be close, but I knew that there just wasn't enough trust or common interests, or just something was not right enough, you know? At the same time, with some people and groups it was always so natural and fun. They never pulled the "we didn't think you'd want to come" card, and to those that initially did, I was still comfortable to invite myself to things or to give them an earful about not inviting me, and telling them I'd very much like to hang out next time. I think that is what stings about this. I don't generally want to respond like, "oh that sounds like you had fun. I'd love to do that with IRL sometime." So the next time I am left out it is worse, haha. That is what I learned in college. Sometimes it is really nothing personal and it does not mean they hate you, you just don't really click with them. Yeah, you'll always find people who appreciate you. Don't waste time on people who don't. I distance myself and keep communication to a minimum. I also began hanging out with other people who found my time worthy. One person actually said something about it before, and I responded, well, you guys always make up an excuse for me that I am busy, so I became busy. Yes, I like the keeping minimum communication part than cutting ties completely. If you stop talking to them completely somewhere, they still have control over you. By being casual, it is more kill 'em with kindness vibes. Love that response. I know Everyone was saying get new friends, but that is kind of easier said than done. It is hard to make friends, let alone establish a new friend group. Just start to distance yourself, because they clearly don't value you. And know that you will find your people eventually. Bumble BFF has actually worked for me before. I second this. Find your people. Bumble BFF lead me to my now closest friend. For me, it's difficult to continue being friends with people who dislike me. Make new friends. Friend groups are rarely that stratified. Some people will always be closer than others, but if you're *EVERYONE*S** least favorite, it's not the group for you. I'm in a group with lots of couples, and am married, and it really helps reduce that stratification. You know, you're always the favorite of one person in the room. And while some couples are closer to others, individuals are closer to different individuals, and it becomes complex enough that no one is truly at the bottom. This is great advice. Making adult friends is hard, because there is so much that goes on. Jobs, kids or no kids different ages, etc. I feel like this is an important distinction to make. Like if you truly are *EVERYONE*S* least favorite, then I don't think resuscitation is possible. I mean, what is there to save, if you're not liked by at least one person? I'm never the most popular person in my social circles, not the leader, or glue holding everyone together. But as long as I love the majority, or at least half, and they reciprocate that love, then that's enough reason for me to stay. I just left the group. I have actually been friendless the past 10 years, but life is still good. I just do whatever I want anytime I want, and am not complaining. Honestly, by not adhering to the idea of a friends group, I was constantly left out during uni, and it crushed me. But now I find myself with about 4 or 5 different circles of people from different hobbies, workplaces. Those circles spiral out indefinitely, friends bring new friends along, and new buddies are formed. Sometimes people from each group cross over, and those friends are all, because we have some things in common. There is always a freedom to see them for particular activities. Invite a few from different groups round, if I think they'll get on, and have similar interests. For example, one of my circles was formed over a couple of years of working in my industry. I have 3 or so super close friends, where we got to know one another when we all started on the same day. Then I made friends over pub visits with the people in the office near my desk, and then those groups sort of intertwined. A couple of people from both do things separately, and sometimes we do a big BBQ together, or a small meal with a couple of them. The concept of one formed group does not exists, just a larger conglomerate of people with some super close friendships, some activity based only friendships, a few with different hobbies that form a smaller friendship. Just broadening who you call friends will help, and having hobbies that get you to meet new people. I now have my sports buddies, having met some work buddies, and a few of the mix have formed their own smaller groups as well. I cannot imagine still being part of a clique, relying on one lot of people for social gratification. It has got to come from yourself, and don't be afraid to organize things yourself too. And always invite the people around you that you are not that close with as well. If they're in earshot, they could be a fab new friend waiting to be asked to join in. Yeah, I am definitely not part of a single group per se. I do have a regular roster of people I spend time with in person though. I have always considered myself the welcoming one who brings all these varieties of friends together, but sometimes I do that, and then those varied groups start going out without me too, haha. I can still feel it today, even though it happened many years ago. It was after school, we were supposed to meet up and chill. I was so excited, I showered, dressed up, put on my shoes, and walked out my house. As I was on my jolly way, I received a call from my friend saying, "Hey, are you already coming? The thing is, doesn't want you to come, so can you not come please?" Now I was cool with him, because I could hear the gut-wrenchingness of the voice, that they had to bring me the news. It definitely devastated me a lot. So I sucked it up and went home. That was one of the lowest point of my life during my teen years. Surely but slowly I got over it. Thing is, I moved on, and accepted that I can't please everybody, and if sometime they don't want me around it's probably for the best, because what's the point of hanging around with a bunch of people, if you're better off alone anyway. Just my 2 cents. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I too had a similar experience. It's so disheartening. I started to make myself less available, and that has certainly sifted out the bad friends, and left me with some remaining good ones. Distance myself. I stopped being friends with people who exclude. At first, I tried to spend time with them more, however, when people don't want you, they don't want you. I don't have any friends anymore, because I realized sometimes being alone is better than with being people, and feeling not wanted or welcomed. I spend my time on my own, focusing what I like doing. When I feel the need of socializing, I listen podcasts, write comments, or spend time on the internet, talking to random people. I don't feel lonely, and I love being alone. People simply aren't worth enough to waste your happiness or your time on. Wow, that sounds so Thai. I would not be friends with them. My friends throw surprise parties, and go out of their way for some friends, but are nice to me too, but I know they are less nice. I feel it's because I've struggled in life, and while I was never mean, I'd get annoyed when, for instance, they shared pictures of someone we weren't that close to, and not in our WhatsApp group, and it was just as the pandemic was getting really bad in my country. They just ignore me for the most part. I'm grateful that they are understanding, and that they have stuck with me, and I'm doing better now. It made me realize I was not really their friend. We were a group of cowhawkers, and I was invited out probably 50% of the time, and I went every time I was invited. Over the summer one year I heard from none of them, unless it had to do with school. Come to find out they had been out several times. They came back with all kinds of inside jokes. Made for an awkward school year, and was very isolating. I asked why I suddenly was not invited, and got the lame "we did not think you would want to come." Decided it was time to move on, and asked to move grade levels the next year. Fresh start. Ever since I have learned to keep work and friendships separate. I am friendly with everyone, but I am not necessarily friends with anyone outside of work. You get new friends. This might be unpopular, but I try to figure out why they don't like me as much first, and see if it's legitimate. Sometimes it's best to just leave. If it feels bad and isn't working, no sense in forcing it, it might just be a bad fit. But sometimes there are parts of us that are inhibiting our ability to connect and get along with others, like our attitudes, our insecurities, or something else. I'm a really big believer in personal improvement, and I think there are sometimes legitimate reasons that people are excluded that they are not aware of. But it's just really hard to know if there's legit reasons you might want to change, or if the other folks are jerks without doing some investigation, and then deciding for yourself. Agreed. I am open about asking for feedback in a gentle way. I think this depends. Do you think they don't like you, or do you just not click with the group as a whole as well as the others? Depending on your answer, I would not cut them out. Just cause you are at the top of their friend list does not mean they don't like you. But I would look for other friends and treat that friend group as a second tier friend group. Like the people you see out with at big events, but don't call up to hang out with all the time. I used to get that a lot in high school/college. It made me feel terrible and uncared for. At that time I made up excuses which helped me cope in my younger teen years, which helped when we hung out in school. I was also an introvert, so I blamed myself a little too to cope. It came to a head when I was almost kidnapped in front of them, and they left me alone in the dark that I realized that I just had really bad friends. I did not need that. So I made the effort to make better friends. Now I don't think you have the friends that I do, but maybe you need to reflect on how these friends make you feel, and if they treat poorly overall. Take the step back, and try and see it from an outsider point of view. If they treat you fine, I would have a conversation with all of them. If they are really your friends, they would want to know that they make you feel excluded, because they probably don't mean to. Converse and see if you all can fix it, and they can make the extra effort to include you. But if they are more like my friends, it may be better to cut your losers. Those are the kinds of people you don't really want in your life, and focus on making friendships with people who do care for you and want to include you. They definitely don't treat me poorly overall. They are good people who have been supportive of me in tough times for many years. I think they just happen to be closer to each other than they are with me, and I cannot change that, Embrace it. And find new friends, or learn to be alone. How would you even know that? Regardless, if that was the case, I'd just get new friends. I absolutely deserve better than being last place in a group of friends. By finding a different friend group. That new friend group should be only people who choose me. It might start with only one other person. It might start with only me. But it's worth it to have real friends. This was me and my old high school stage group. I couldn't find a good way of interacting with anyone. Everyone turned introvert towards me, even the really outgoing ones. Only person I got kinda friendly with was the one girl that helped me practice my lines, but we basic shared no interests. Play came and went, high school came and went. You've been visited by the ghost of a very important man. Pay your respects by liking and subscribing, and he'll grant you 3 weeks of good luck.